It's really exciting, actually. Just before, the talk that we had was amazing on diversity, on women in tech. Hello, woman here in tech. Felt the same as she did, and also feel the same as you did when you asked the question. But I'm not going to talk about that today, so I'm going to bring you more a bit into the world of product innovation. And actually what I want to talk about today is what can product leaders actually do to make products innovative? What can we do to keep ahead of the game when we are actually already ahead of the game? So just to be clear, I wanted to make sure that everyone has the same understanding of innovation, right? So we're talking about introduction of new things, right? Or ideas and ways of doing something in a different way. That's the exact description or definition of innovation in the Oxford Dictionary, right? So sounds pretty obvious, okay? But in product and tech, we've been using innovation in very different ways, and sometimes more in the wrong way than in the correct way. So what does it mean to have an innovative product? What does it mean to actually be the leader? What does it mean to have a product that is actually the best one on the market, actually covering or being the solution for a need that a customer has? Well, I took an example that everyone knows. I don't have to explain it. But I just wanted to give the basics of what a good product and an innovative product should be. So you need an idea. Ideally, you need a great idea. You need it to be original, because in that sense, when Steve Jobs thought about iPhone, he didn't just think about a good idea. It was a great idea. It was a vision. It was trying to do something that has never been done before. So it needs to be original. At the same time, you need purpose for it. You cannot just have a great idea and not have purpose, because then who is going to use it? Because in the end, why we build products? Because they need to actually be used by someone. And that someone is your customer, right? And more often than we think, companies forget the customer. But that's one example of what good product innovation could be. And it's just to give a bit the basics. It all sounds obvious and it all sounds very simple, but in the end, how many companies are doing this today? How many companies can actually say they are innovating? How many companies can actually say that they put their customer first? I think we can count them. So, in a nutshell, for customers, it means we need to do what matters. So product and making products is about doing what matters and not doing what is good for revenue, not doing what actually needs to bring the money. Because it is maybe a surprise for some of you. I hope not here in the room. Most of the product professionals should know this. Revenue is not an objective, right? But most of the time, when we start building products, or most of the time in the ideation process of the product, we actually think about revenue. And revenue is an objective. And then we start discovery phase. And we start discovering that actually it's more complicated to identify what is the revenue we can generate. How can we monetize if we do not know what customer problem are we fixing and who are we going to help and with what? So I just wanted to share this, right? There are two types of customer pain points that innovation is supposed to fix. You have explicit and you have the latent. Explicit is when your customer actually knows that they have an issue and they want it fixed. The latent one is the more complex one, is where the customer doesn't know that they want it or they need it, but you actually create it for them, and that's what makes your product innovative. And that's what makes it a product that everyone is going to use, and that in the end is going to bring you probably and most likely the revenue that you are searching for, because in the end, if you're not just doing this pro bono, you do need to make something out of it. You don't just build products to build products. So I'm going to make the link with Immoweb, right? I am CPO at Immoweb. We've been on the market for the last 25 years. We are the top real estate platform on the market. We have the highest traffic. Probably 90% of the listings on the market, you can find them on Immoweb. I think most of the people in the room, when they search for an apartment to rent or to buy, they've been on the website or the app, and they know the product. Easy, right? What do you do when you're at the head of a company that is leading the market? What do you do with your product? How do you bring your product to the next step? How do you keep innovating with the product that you have? Well, I will take you back in time just to see a bit how Immoweb did it from the beginning. So 1996. So the process actually before to rent or sell a property was actually very, very complicated. You had, as a seller of a property, to call the newspaper. You had to send them a description of your property on paper, right? And they needed to actually write down something, specific amount of characters in the newspaper, and you had to pay for that to be published in the newspaper. And that's how you got actually potential buyers for your property. So it was very complicated. It took actually days, weeks, and sometimes months to actually get to share with everyone that you actually want to sell your property, or to rent it, for that matter. And that was the way that things were done. So at some point, Immoweb said, let's try to fix that. It's not easy, but there's something out there called the World Wide Web. I don't know, maybe we can do something with that. And that's when they created a platform. What happened is that we went from days or months of work to actually sell or rent a property to just hours. So we actually had a mission. We wanted to match the sellers with the buyers in the most efficient way. That was the whole objective. We just wanted to fix a customer problem on the market. That's how we created Immoweb, right? Very nice looking. That was 1996. But how do you go the step further? Well, a step further, you actually try and you change what you have and you try to make it better. Big logos was a thing, okay? And then when you do that, you actually look at the market and you see, okay, so how are we going to make something out of this? This is good, it's fixing a customer problem, so how are we going to monetize? And then you try to look into probably something that everyone knows from the previous versions of the product is advertising, right? It was the Christmas tree of advertising. The best platform with the most traffic for people that were looking to rent or to sell, and then you had the Christmas tree. And that's how we had a lot of advertising revenue generated, because that was the main monetization stream. But then you start to think on what is actually useful. How can you make that product and turn it into something better? Of course, there's the visual side to it, where we went from one version to another, And as the years went by, we are today at Immoweb, where we have apps and platform, and the experience is actually now starting to be more and more important. While before it was just making sure that the journey is efficient, that you get a buyer to a seller and a seller to a buyer in the most efficient way, today it's not the only goal. Today we also need to make sure that the experience that everyone is getting when they're using the products is the best experience ever. Because that's how people will start using the products more, and that's how those products will actually solve the issues that those customers are coping with. So how do you stay ahead of the game? For those of you who watched the Champions League, maybe they'll win again, I don't know, but we will see. Actually, this is really interesting, and I want to share a bit more about myself because I've been a top athlete in my career, and I've been trained to be disciplined, to actually make sure that every single day I push myself one step further. And that's where you learn a lot of the principles and the basics of how you can keep being a winner, but still stay humble, still keep certain values core to you that are important, without actually losing anything along the way. So how do you stay ahead of the game when you're top of the market and you actually need to keep pushing and keep going one step further? Well, I have one secret. It's not easy. Because the thing is about getting to the top, that's actually really nice. But once you're on the top, it's very hard to keep that position. And it becomes harder and harder every single day because your product needs to evolve and your product needs to innovate and continue to innovate. And that's where complexity comes into play because you're a 25-year-old company and you've got legacy, tech legacy, and you need to get rid of it because otherwise you cannot build the best experience out there for products and you cannot actually provide your customers with a solution that will fix their issues. So I've split it into 3 categories. For me, there are 3 main things that we need to do as product leaders to innovate our products. One is great leadership. What does that mean? Well, it means you need to give vision, mission, and goals. So as a product leader, you need to identify where we want to go. You need to identify what the mission is and how are we going to go there. And you need to identify goals, but those goals cannot be other than the goals of the company. So you need to align your team goals with your leadership goals, with your company goals, and you need to make sure that it fits together and it actually builds on a story. So whenever you start building a product, that you can actually innovate because you're making it or doing it in the right way. And at the core of all of these points is actually one very important thing: the team. Because what would a great product leader do without a good team? There's no I in product leader. There's a whole team of people behind it. And I really liked the previous talk as well because the focus was also on people. And that's one point that I've never seen come across in the discussions when we look at product innovation. We don't talk about people. We talk about numbers. We talk about statistics. We talk about the business side of it. We talk about what would be the trendy thing to do, the next best thing. That's what we need to do. That's where we need to go for. That's most of the time how discussions go when we think or when we talk about product innovation. But what we should actually do is something different. We should think about culture. We should think about company culture. Is our company culture helping us to get to that level of innovation that we want to achieve? Those are the questions we need to ask ourselves. And be it you are a market leader and a company that has a position that is already fixed for multiple years, or be it a startup or a new company that just is beginning and tomorrow will be the first day at work, culture is the thing you should be looking at. And that's how you kind of start building something that will ensure or will facilitate that you are able to create innovative products. So how do you have culture and what is culture in company? For me personally, culture is built on trust and autonomy. You need to make sure that the people in the team are the right people. So talking about the skill sets, like in the previous talk, definitely, very important. Skills are important. The mindset is the most important one. I totally agree with the previous talk. But however, we do need to make sure that there is trust and that those people get the autonomy they need to evolve, to actually grow and learn by doing. Because as we know, there's no real school to prepare us for the product and tech world and to actually move forward and inspire or create amazing products or make change happen. But we learn by doing. A lot of us learn by doing. And that's where trust and autonomy is really important, because great teams are built when they get trust and the autonomy to do amazing things. And then the third, but not least, resources and support. So as a product leader, apart from the fact that you need to be a great leader and try to inspire and be there for the team and help them grow, you need to make sure that they get the trust and autonomy that they need to actually get the results that you want them to achieve or even surpass the expected outcome. But what you also need to do as a product leader, you need to think about resources and support. If you want that team to be innovative, if you want that team to bring out the next best product out there, well, you need resources. They need resources. The team needs experts to actually work together with them. They need people that can actually guide them, help them with different skill sets that they don't necessarily have to actually make the right decisions and build amazing products. So you need to make sure that they have carte blanche, like we say in French, that they have a free space in which they can act. So you need to make sure that you support them and you initiate the creation of that culture of innovation by making sure that you get rid of this, because that's bureaucracy for you. Most of the time, and this I'm speaking for companies that have been built or have been really there for a long time, 20, 30, 40 more years, there's a lot of bureaucracy. And what happens when you have a team in an incubator and you want them to build something, but you don't take care of the bureaucracy around it, and you don't make sure that they get support, and you don't make sure that you give them the materials they need, the tools they need, the tech they need, the expertise that they need? Well, innovation doesn't happen. That's as easy and as simple as that. So, for me, as a product leader, you only have one single focus and one priority only. And that is, for me, to make sure you invest time in your people. Because to make innovative products come to life, you need the right people. And you need the right environment for those people to actually build those products and make them happen. Because in the end, we're all people, right? Business is people, customers are people. I think Simon Sinek was sharing this a couple of weeks ago. We're all people. So in the end, you need to think about the people. People are the key to building innovative products. Normally, we always focus on the other stuff, but not enough on this aspect. So according to me, people build for people, not for someone else. They build for people. And they look for solutions for customer problems. And in order to be innovative, they need to be supported. And they need to get the environment to do so. So for all the product leaders out there who haven't done this before or who do not know how to do this, you should start today investing time in your people. Because by having your people empowered, getting the autonomy, the trust that they need, the support from you as a product leader, they will build amazing products. And you will have innovation happen. Just like that. Thank you for listening.